the world. So
Okay.
yeah,
well,
but it's not a live stream. We're good.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Well, Ted, I don't remember the details of how we met, but I do recall we ran an ad on the internet years ago, and he responded from Japan. And I remember the local news station came and interviewed Larry because it was such a big deal that like you could get a lead off of the internet and possibly do business. Do you remember the details of that?
So it was 1997, and my wife and I were living in Japan, and we were making a move back here to Southern California, and we got online, this thing called the internet. It was kind of weird. You know, we had email, and Larry's ad came up. And we said, oh, he seems like a good guy. And we did an email or whatever, and Larry responded, come meet me at, when you get to Costa Mesa. And we did, and he rented us our first house. And that was
20 years ago?
21 years ago.
21 years ago. So we've known Ted a long time.
Yeah. So, and we've stayed friends. We've played golf. We've done some things. And now we're actually we're selling our house.
Yep.
And Larry's in the middle. We just signed yesterday, and we're going to put that puppy on the market next week. So very exciting.
So now he's written a book and he's speaking. And so we asked him to come, and I read his book. I loved it. Read it very quickly. It's a great book. And I asked him to come and speak and just kind of share with us today. So I'm excited to see what you're going to do.
I know. I'm excited to do whatever I'm going to do.
Exactly.
That's great. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me here. I love this, that you've all come over into this little group here. So my name's Ted Larkins. I wrote the book called Get to Be Happy, Stories and Secrets to Loving the Shit Out of Life. And I tell you, the original title of the book the subtitle was One Man's Journey Through Life. It's kind of my life experience. But I had an editor read it, and she said, Ted, you dropped the F-bomb throughout that thing. And this is real life and death and everything in between. Let the reader know what's coming. And so that's the title. And that's kind of the title of my talk, which is called the Get To Principle. And I'm really excited to share it with you. It's about a 25-minute little talk that I give. It's very interactive, so I look forward to you guys participating with me. If you haven't gotten a piece of chocolate, we'll get to that shortly, but it's really cool. And I'm going to offer an exercise, you guys, at the end of this talk that is going to change your life, that you're going to use daily. And I know that Laurie read the book and really has gotten a lot out of that, and I'm excited to share that with you guys. So first, Larry, thank you for having me here. Laurie, thank you. And Matt? All right. So I want to get started by telling you a little bit about me, about my background. I was born in Chicago, raised in Columbus, Ohio, and then spent a number of years bartending across the states. In 1988, I was in Los Angeles bartending, and my girlfriend, who was the piano singer on the bar, said, "Hey, I got a job offer to play the piano in Japan." I said, "Oh, that's kind of cool. So what do you do with that?" And she said, "Well, why don't you come with me?" And we started drinking a little bit more. And I said, "Well, where?" She said, "It's Japan. It's on the other side of Hawaii. Come on." I said, "Okay." And 2 weeks later, everything was in storage, and I went over to Japan. 1988. 3 months later, she had an apartment arranged there with her, with her job to piano sing. And 3 months later, she said, "Okay, my gig's up. I'm going back to America to be a star." And I said, "Sayonara. I'm going to stay here." I was bartending, teaching English, just doing the foreigner gaijin thing over there. I hooked up over the bar. I said, "Well, I'm going to stay here and learn the language." What a great life tool that would be. I mean, I'm a bartender. I didn't go to school. And over the bar, I met a guy, and I said, "I'd like to live with you and your family." And he said, "Great, come in. You teach my kids English once a week, and you can live for free. We'll do a little three-month gig." I said, "Great." So I moved in. That's Mr. Yoshida. That's his wife, Mitsuko, and the two kids, Eitaro and Kenji. About 3 months into the homestay, he knocked on my door one night, 10 o'clock. I opened the door in my bedroom. He said, "We do big business." I said, "Sure, I love big business. Come on in." He came in. He sat on the tatami floor, and he said, he handed me a ripped piece of paper. He said, "I put James Dean on T-shirts. You help me." I said, "Yeah, whatever that means, sure." And I picked up the phone and I called the number. I said, "Hi." Guy answered. I said, "Hi, my name's Ted. I'm here in Japan. A guy wants to put James Dean on T-shirts. He said to call this number." He said, "My name's Marcus Winslow. I'm James Dean's cousin. This is called licensing. How much do you think you're going to sell?" I asked Yoshida. "About 100,000 in total sales of T-shirts." "Okay, so pay me 10%. That's called a royalty, and we'll do a deal." Next day, a contract arrived via fax. We did this contract, and Yoshida started selling James Dean T-shirts. About 3 weeks later, he knocked on my door again. "Call him back. I want to do hats." "James Dean hats? Are you? All right, sure." So we added hats. And I started working part-time at his office. Things kept going. And over the next 6 years, We added over 40 product. We did over $80 million in James Dean product. We paid his cousin, Marcus Winslow, $4 million in royalties. So during this time, I started learning the Japanese. I started getting a little bit better with that. He came to me about a year later and said, here's a number, call Pepsi Cola. I called Pepsi Cola. Same thing. I'm here with a guy. A guy came over. He was meeting with different companies, but the guy liked our energy, whatever that means, and he said, we want to, we'd like to have you as the agent. We ended up being the agent and doing Pepsi Cola product in Japan, over $500 million. So that's how I came from a bartender into licensing. 1994, Paramount Pictures reached out. They said, hey, you're doing licensing for Pepsi and James Dean in Japan, putting logos on all kinds of product. Can you do that with Roman Holiday and The Godfather and Star Trek? I didn't think so. I thought, no, but sure, why not? We became the agent for Paramount Pictures. We did a company in Japan, Toho, wanted to do Roman Holiday as a stage play. And it was the first time to take a major American motion picture and turn it into a Broadway show in Japan. We did it. It was a $2 million deal, and the movie studio licensing business began. And I ended up being the agent for Sony, MGM, DreamWorks, Fox, we built one of the largest entertainment licensing companies over there. I was still bartending and teaching English as the thing built, and eventually I quit my day jobs and started being full-time in licensing. So that's what I did over the last 15 years. 4 years ago, I gave the reins of the Japan business to my folks over in Tokyo and headed up DHX Media Licensing in Hollywood. I did that for the last 3 years. They own Teletubbies, Inspector Gadget, if you guys remember those. They bought Snoopy, and so they do all the Snoopy Peanuts licensing. During my 4-hour train commute every day up to Hollywood, I wrote the book, Get to Be Happy, and in October or on November 1st, I said, I'm bringing this book out to the world. I'm bringing this Get To principle, which I hope you're going to really resonate with by the end of the talk. And here I am, sharing it with you guys. Just real quick, as we went through our business with the movie studios, we represented Celine Dion, Bon Jovi. Quick story about John. I knew his cousin through Sony Music, and a Japanese company approached me and said, can we do a slot machine for Bon Jovi? I reached out to Joseph. I said, hey, do you think your cousin would do it? He said, sure, I'll have to ask him. Next thing you know, we did a contract with John for $1 million to do a Bon Jovi slot machine, which was a huge hit in Japan. And I was able to hang with John and the band in Tokyo, backstage at the Tokyo Dome there for a week or so. It was really kind of cool. I represented Jack Nicklaus and his golf brand over there. And the last thing we did was with QVC. Farah Merhi, I don't know if you follow on Instagram. It's Inspire Me Home Decor. It's the largest home decor Instagram account. She has 5 million some followers. I called QVC and said, hey, you should put her on air. They did, and she sold over $1 million in less than 24 hours. The power of QVC. So that's a little bit about me. I'm going to share what I like to talk about is life. I'm going to tell you a quick story. It was a hot day in Calcutta, and I was sitting in a taxi cab, and we came to a stop, and the smells of the sugar cane and the curry wafting through the windows, and we stopped, and I realized we were on train tracks. And I said to the driver, come on, you got to move. And I looked over, and a train was coming. It was coming slowly, but it was coming down the tracks. And the taxi driver started honking, and I can see the train driver, he's getting closer, screaming silently as he slammed into the back of our taxi and pushed us down and eventually off the tracks. And the train kept going, and it was quiet. And instead of freaking out, I had a life change, and I smiled, and I said, wow, I got to experience that. I mean, I didn't die. I was safe. It was a moment of like, wow, this is just an experience that I get to have. A number of years later, my sister called and said, Ted, I'm from Columbus, I know you're going to Japan in a week. I'd like you to, why don't you come back to Columbus and see Dad? He's not doing so well. I said, oh, come on. I talked to him yesterday. She said, Ted, he's not doing so well. And like E.F. Hutton, when my 5-year older sister spoke, I listened. Next day I got on a plane, went to Columbus. I spent a week with Dad, helping him he had cancer, and we got him to chemo, to the hospitals, and just took care of him. And we hung out on his bed, and it was fantastic, the last week. And finally on Friday, about 6 days later, I said, look, I've got this trip to Japan planned, and I'm going to go. And it was, Friday night. And I sat on the edge of the bed, I grabbed his hand, and I said, Dad, look, I love you and I'm gonna head on. And before I could stop, I said, this may be the last time I see you in life. And I started crying and I said, and it's been great. And he eventually just said, are you done yet? Come on, no one's dying here. Get out of here. So I went on my way, sobbed my way to the Columbus airport, went to Tokyo. 2 days later, I'm in Tokyo. I'm actually at dinner with Linda and Shannon Lee. It's Bruce Lee's widow and daughter. And we were doing an exhibition for Bruce Lee products. We were licensing Bruce Lee product in Japan. The phone rang. It was my sister. I said, oh, hey, Kath, what's up? She said, Dad died last night. I said, wow. I grabbed Shannon, Bruce's daughter, took her outside. I said, better than anyone, you can relate to this. My dad just died. And she gave me the most wonderful hug. I flew back right away to Columbus. My sisters and I, Dad had said do nothing. We walked into the funeral home and there was Dad. And we looked at him and I leaned over and I kissed his cold, bald head. I was crying. And then I stood up and just like in the taxi in Calcutta, I had a change. I said, wow, I got to experience that. I got to say my goodbyes. I got to be here with my sisters. And this I get to do this, really solidified in my mind. It was very powerful. And that is what I'm going to share with you guys. Get to, as opposed to have to, is a mind shift that can really be powerful. So let's start from, why did you guys get up in the morning? Why do we get up? Is it to play with your fire truck or your Barbie doll or your new iPhone? Is it, oh, I get to get up. What do I get to do today? And when you go to bed at night, is it, oh, wow, I had a great day. I get to go to bed. I'm so excited. Or is it more of a have to? See, as we got older, when we were kids, right, it was so exciting. We got to do this thing called life. But as we got older, the resistances of life, the challenges that we each go through really build up, and we start having this feeling of, I have to. And what I want to suggest is that we can change that. There is a way that you can change how you view life. And I'm going to share that with you. Oh. So I'm going to start at the beginning. The world is in turmoil, right? And I don't want to be doomsday here, but look, everybody, we read the news, right? There's challenging times. We each individually have challenging times. And it's not, I could put images up there of the fires, the earthquakes, the shootings, everything going on, but I don't have to. We all know what's going on. But I'm not here to share, change the world. But what I am here to do is really share a viewpoint that you can and we can all use to change how we are in the world from a more positive way of looking at life. So I have a question. If everything the future needs is given to you right now, how would you be? If everything that you need right now is here, how would that change your life? And what if it were sudden illness or even death? But this is what the future needs for you. Even suffering and challenges, but great joy and great happiness is right here. May I encounter the perfect obstacles in my path. This is the basis of the get to principle. This is accepting life as it is, as it's happening right now, and learning to be good with it and really embrace it. And I think you're really going to get this. And the way to do it is to be present. And this is the present mindfulness movement that everybody has going on, right? It's big in the news. But here's the thing. Being present can be so cool in the moment. We're going to experience that in just a second. But one of the things that keeps us from being present, there's 4 things that keep us from being present. When you think about the past, when you think about the future, when you think a lot about ourselves and you're worried about ourselves or we're worried about others. You see, when your attention is on disappointments from the past, we always get caught up, oh, what's happening now? And we often forget where we are. We're here on this planet hurling through space, 67,000 miles an hour. Wow, we get to be here. And how often are you operating from the past and predicting what's going to happen in the future and really getting caught up and worried about that? And along with those, how often are we thinking about ourselves? What am I doing? Even now, we have our thoughts. Oh, what am I doing? How's it going? How do I look? Or we think about others. Oh, how come he didn't call me back? I sent that email. Oh, that bastard. Our minds just go and go. And what we need to do is realize that we can get out of that and come to the present moment. I've got an exercise we're going to do in a second. You've got that piece of chocolate, so hang on. So this is going just a little bit for you guys, but we are lived by powers we pretend to understand. See, life is unfolding right now, right here, and we pretend to understand what it is, but we can't understand it except by living it, except by being right here, just in the moment. You know, life is happening right now, and it's perfect. And the beauty is, we don't have to pretend. We can just live life, and it's going to be what it is. See, there are no experts. Tony Robbins, Oprah, Ellen, I don't know. Everybody's, the internet gurus saying, oh, be happy, do this, do that. They're doing it just as best as they can, just like we're doing it as best as we can. And it's important for us to realize this is it, and we get to do it. So that leaves you all kind of, okay, what's this going on? I've got a great exercise, and there's a great solution to this problem. You ready? Chocolate. This is it. All right, so we're gonna do a quick exercise. Everybody have your piece of chocolate?
Yes. I ate mine.
I love that.
I didn't know.
You don't need to know.
The rules.
Who doesn't need? Will you pass the chocolate down there? That's funny.
I thought it was so great. It was starting with chocolate.
Oh, and I need the box back when you're Italian. And there's more ever, and I'll take that box back. Great, thank you. Because I want my piece of chocolate. All right, so this is what we're going to do. When I say go, and where's my timer? She's got her 20-second timer. What we're going to do is you can put the whole piece in your mouth or take a bite, and I'm going to ask you to close your eyes just for 20 seconds and put your attention on what's going on in your mouth. Just be with this experience of eating this chocolate.
The drooling part.
And even when you're drooling, just let that be. And when a thought comes in, there's only 20 seconds, but if a thought comes in, oh, I didn't have breakfast, just let that go and come back to
This is breakfast.
your piece of chocolate. Excellent. There's more for you after the end. Yeah, excellent. All right? So can everybody do that? The point is to really just be for this 20 seconds. Okay? And I got my piece. I'm going to do the whole thing. And go. All right. Perfect. Okay, everybody. I see some smiles. I see some quietness. I see some people being present to that experience. See, what just happened?
So good.
It's so good. And we forgot about the past and the future, and we came to this present moment. Congratulations. You had a get-to experience. So what is get to? It's a deliberate choice. It's moving from victim to power, and it's an attitude toward life. See, our futures are a wild card. We don't know what's going to happen in a couple of minutes or a couple of days or weeks, and it's filled with uncertainties. But the ability to come to the present moment, like you just did, is very powerful and can change your life. And that's what the get to principle is all about. And this is how it works. Instead of saying, I have to, you say, I get to. See, our society, we're filled with saying, I got to do this, I have to do that. But saying I have to is filled with being a victim. Can you guys feel that? Everybody say, I have to. Right? It's just got this, like, filled with dread. Like, I gotta go to the store. I gotta go pick up the kids. I gotta go get a cup of coffee even. I gotta get a cup of coffee. Come on. You get to get a cup of coffee, right? So when you step into saying, I get to, you go from this victim of, oh, I have to, and you step into, I get to. It's a very powerful, simple mind shift. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to do the dishes. If you don't do the dishes, they're going to pile up and stink. I'm not saying you don't have to go to work, because if you don't go to work, you're not going to be able to pay the bills. But if you simply shift and start saying, I get to, you're going to have a change in heart. And this is what happened to me. Or, I'm going to get to that in a second. So take some moments in your life, like when you could use, instead of saying have to, you could say I get to. Anybody got something?
I get to plant vegetables in my new raised flower beds that my husband built me.
I love it. That's great. I
Had to build you?
Did he have to? That he had to build you, right? See, she's going to teach him get to, and he's going to say, I got to build that. Hey, I got to clean the cat box this morning.
Ooh.
Yeah, very powerful. So it's a very, look, as simple as it is, when you change your current reality to this mindset of I get to, it can change your overall way of being in life. It's an attitude with sincere gratitude and great appreciation for what's happening in the present moment. Now, I'm going to share a mantra that I've created that when you apply this, and I use it every day, 50 times a day, it will really change how you look at life. And I call it the Get To mantra. Get to, smile, do it. See, when you say I get to, it creates a state of calm, compassion, and appreciation in your life. When you smile, it creates positive endorphins. And when you do it on your own terms deliberately. And this is how it works. In any given situation, even if you have a thought and you think I have to, you change and you say I get to. And then you smile and then you do it. Get to, smile, do it. Get to, smile, do it. See, when you say I get to, your mind automatically goes to a feeling of compassion for others that don't have what you have. It's a subconscious thing. I get to. And there's an immediate, oh, wow, there's others that don't have what I have. You also have great appreciation for what you do have. And it really came home to me when I was doing the dishes. I was grumbling, oh, I have to do the dishes, and I'm scrubbing. And I realized, because of my other experiences, that, oh, I get to do the dishes. And in that moment, I just had this compassion. Like, 20,000 people will die of starvation on the planet today. We can't even grasp that. Like, wow, can I have some compassion? I kept scrubbing and I thought, and I just had a pretty good meal. Can I have some appreciation? Now, this isn't about, when you say I get to, it's not about going way down the hole of feeling sorry for other people. It's really just a simple, wow, look at what I have, compassion for others. And it's not being boastful, look at what I got to do, look at my food. It's just appreciation. From that state, when you say I get to, your mind gets quiet. And from there, then you smile. Deliberately smile. Do you know that when you smile, that positive endorphins are released in your body and you feel joy? If you're ever feeling down, set a timer for 30 seconds and deliberately smile. Look in the mirror if you want. And I promise your body starts to react and you feel better. And then the next stage is to do what you're doing. And you have this sense of stepping into this power of being in control of your life. You're not a victim to what's going on. It's a very powerful way of being. I use this mantra. I don't say I have to anymore. The other day, Beth said to me, oh, honey, the kids. I said, oh, yeah, I got to get the kids. And as I was on my computer there at school, and as I walked out the door, I grabbed the keys, and I turned around, I said, I get to. And I got in the car. And as I said it again, I get to this compassion. I mean, we know the horror stories of what's gone on in some of the schools and the parents that don't get to do what I'm about to get to do. Wow. And I also had great appreciation for my 13-year-old who has dyed blue hair and is going to have a pierced ring or something someday very soon. But I was just so grateful that I got to go pick them up. And by the time I got to them in that state of mind, they were like, Daddy, Daddy. I was like, hey, guys. It really changes how you are in life. So here's the other thing about the get to principle. When you say I get to, a sense of being alive in the first place, of even having this experience called life, an understanding of the preciousness of this thing that we're doing wells up inside of you. It's really cool. And look, after all, you may not want to do the dishes, but there's a lot of dead people that would love to be standing there doing dishes right now. So it's just this appreciation, and it's not being glib, it's just about simply being present and appreciative and compassionate about life. In the end, instead of arguing with life, everything the future needs is here right now. And using the get to, here you are. So I love this quote. The most important question you can ever ask is if the universe is a friendly place. Albert Einstein. See, I think it's important as we go through life to decide whether this thing that we're in called life is friendly, or is it neutral, or is it out to get us? And what I found with people is when I use the get to principle, and when people start shifting over from the have to victim state of mind to this powerful I get to, you start to really believe that, yeah, a lot of stuff's going on and it's crappy, but the universe is a pretty cool place. And from that state of mind, you really start creating miracles. It's very, very powerful. See, the way you see people is the way you treat them. The way you treat people is how they become. The way you see life is the way you treat life, and the way you treat life is the way life becomes. This is a very important way to look at life. Okay, so I'm going to talk just briefly about happiness. There's 4 myths of happiness, right? The first one is others are happier than I am. We look around, we go up and say hi to somebody, hey, how you doing? And they say, oh, I'm fine. And you say, how are you? And you say, oh, I'm fine. But the truth is behind there's all kinds of stuff. We never get into it. And we see the billboards of all these happy people. And one of the things is when you get to a point of worrying, of thinking that everybody else has it made, we start to beat up on ourselves and think, well, gosh, what's wrong with me? The truth is everyone has challenges. But recognizing that allows us to come out and say, okay, and with that, I'm going to choose to be happy. I'm going to choose to be more present. The second myth is that being rich will make me happy. I had dinner with Masayoshi Son. He's the billionaire owner of Comcast over in Yahoo over in Japan. And whatever happened, I ended up with a DreamWorks executive, and they needed a translator, so I sat with Masayoshi Son, a billionaire. Not too long before that, I had gone to a Zen temple in the mountains of Hiroshima, and I had dinner with a Zen monk who had nothing. And I promise, the Zen monk was a lot happier than Mr. Son. I'm not saying that money isn't fine and good to get, and being rich could be fantastic, but the pursuit of it in itself really does not make us happy. The third myth is that getting things, I call it attaining things, I call it attainitis. We get more stuff, and the more stuff we get, we're going to be happy. But the truth is, we spend so much time trying to get things, we finally get them, and we feel this like relief, joy, and we label that happiness. But the truth is, it's relief that you finally got it. But because you think that's happiness, then you put out, oh, I want the next thing, and the next thing, and the next better thing. And we get that confused for what happiness is, which is really just powerful within yourself, feeling good. And then the fourth thing is it's selfish to be happy. When the air masks come down in the airplane, you put yours on first. Same thing. You guys, if you have the opportunity to be happy, if you can smile, do it. Do it first, and then you can share that with others and bring that to the world. There's 4 keys to happiness. Easy. Have a purpose. If you don't have a purpose, if you're really not aiming for something, it's hard to really find joy and happiness in this world. And being happy could be your purpose. For myself, I find that being happy is like that's my spiritual journey. When the toast burns, do I want to have that take me out of my happiness, or do I want to say, wait a second, I get to experience this. The second key to being happy is having compassion, which we've talked about. The third is to have appreciation. And the fourth is to know that happiness is in your nature. We're born giggling, you guys. We get to do this. It really can be a joyful time.
All I can hear right now is trolls.
Trolls.
Trolls, because that's
Oh, they
part
giggle.
That's part of the movie, is that it's inside you. That happiness is inside of us, and we can all be happy.
That's our homework tonight, to watch Trolls. Thank you for that. It's true. It's in us. We're all there. We all have that in us. So lastly, what I'd like to share is how you can apply this at the office. So when I was up at DHX Media, I had a team of 8 or 10 people, depending on the day. And every morning, I would have everybody come into my office. We'd stand in a circle. I'd set the timer for 2 minutes, and we'd have a 2-minute quiet meditation, prayer. I didn't call it anything, just 2 minutes of quiet. Some people looked out the window, some people closed their eyes, some people picked their nose, whatever. At the end of the 2 minutes, the timer would go off, and we were all just quiet, kind of like we experienced after the chocolate experience. It was all quiet and like peaceful. And then I would start and I would say something that I got to do the day before, something that I get to do that day. And we would each take turns. And I'll tell you, by the end, everybody had this mindset of, what do I get to do today? Instead of, I'm here, what do I have to do? It was very powerful. It gave a sense of direction and purpose. And a morning ritual is really a powerful way for groups to start out. Highly recommend. We can talk about that separate. Yeah, we all need a morning ritual. I think a chocolate morning ritual is on the books.
Laurie will eat it all.
Yeah, you'll eat it before.
You gotta get there first.
Right? And then the get-to mindset, it creates collaboration. And you guys, we're not in this alone. We're all in this together. And we all need to get along and really align on our efforts, on everything we're doing. And that's a big part of where we need to be and can be in life, especially in an office like this, or in any office, even a larger corporation, or even with your families. Collaborating and being aligned, it's very powerful. So, as Laurie said, I wrote the book, Get to Be Happy. I was a finalist for the Eric Hoffer Book Award just a couple of weeks ago. Very pleased for that. Thank you very much. I've got 90 plus 5-star reviews. It's really resonating with people, this story that I have, which encompasses this get-to mindset. And by the end, I think as Laurie attests, it's like, oh, I can really experience this. So it's very powerful, and I can't recommend it enough. And then I'll end with this, with the get-to principle. So, as you know, we go through life, and you have a moment like this and you're all inspired. I mean, how was it? You guys like this get-to? You feel it? Yeah. Right? So what I'd like to offer is that, just as a closing thing, is that I offer coaching. So if anybody would be interested in really upping their game and using this and making it a habit, love to speak to you about that. I've got the book here that is available for sale. It's $15. You can get it on Amazon for $15, but I sign it here, and you get your Get to Be Happy, Get to Do It bookmark. It's a very powerful, it's a very powerful thing. And then I'm going to speak to, as a group, I do offer a collaboration station, which is a 2-hour separate seminar that I also offer, and we can talk about that. May or may not fit for you guys. And that's it. So the bottom line is, the choice to be happy is the most important decision you'll make in any moment in your life. And it's your choice to do that. When you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off and you're ready to flip her off, whoever it is, I get to flip them off. Exactly. You know what? But as long as you're happy, and the choice, exactly. See, the truth is, we don't really know. We don't know what that person's going through, and we judge and we do. It does. And you do, exactly. Changes the whole thing. So the choice is to be happy. I highly recommend it. I hope you use the Get To mantra in your life going forward. And that's my presentation. Take any questions that anybody has. What do you got? Nothing. You're shy.
Wait.
Tell me.
So you're giving us a footprint of how to go from a negative mindset to a positive mindset.
Yes. That's it. I mean, we all have things that happen every day in life. All stuff comes up, right?
Depends on how you look at it.
It all depends on how you look at it. And this is one tool to use to change that mindset. Okay? All right, you guys, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. A hand for you guys.